From Washington, this is VOA News. International climate change agreement reached. Turkish police crack down on media outlets. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. United Nations Chief Ban Ki-moon says that a global climate change agreement reached in Peru Sunday sets the stage for a universal and meaningful deal next year, even as environmental groups attacked the pact worked out in Lima as weak. The Lima agreement was adopted hours after earlier drafts were rejected by developing countries who accused wealthy nations of shirking their responsibilities to fight global warming and pay for its impacts. The UN Secretary General praised the outcome of the Peru conference while urging countries around the world to engage in substantive negotiations ahead of another climate change meeting in Paris in late 2015. Authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo say at least 129 people are dead after a boat capsized on a remote lake in the country's southeast. The transport minister for Congo's Katanga province announced the increased death toll on Sunday, saying a number of women and children were among the victims. There are 232 known survivors. Officials say strong winds and overloading might have been factors in the sinking. It occurred last Thursday night in northern Katanga province, while carrying passengers between Katanga and South Kivu province. Officials in Egypt say a fishing boat collided with a Panama-flagged container ship in the Gulf of Suez. 11 fishermen were killed. 11 fishermen were pulled from the water on Sunday, and at least 18 men are still missing. This is VOA News. The top U.S. and Russian diplomats are meeting in Rome in a new bid to ease tensions in Ukraine, but the latest talks are complicated by U.S. legislation calling for military aid to be sent to Kiev forces fighting pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine. A tentative new ceasefire has been in place since last week in eastern Ukraine, and the fighting is greatly reduced. The U.S. Congress gave its final approval for a massive $1.1 trillion government spending plan for most of 2015. That ends a threat that the federal government could shut down again if the legislation was not passed. The measure got through late Saturday. Here's Senator Patrick Leahy.
On the motion to concur in the House amendment to the Senate amendment, H.R. 83, the yeas are 56, the nays are 40. The motion to concur is passed.
The bill now heads to the White House. That's where President Obama says he'll sign it into law. Mr. Obama says the funding bill includes provisions he does not like, but that there are other parts that ensure progress would continue on such issues as health care, climate change, and job growth. Turkish police raided some of the country's largest media companies and detained at least 24 journalists and former senior police officers. The detentions are part of an operation against followers of a Turkish Islamic cleric living in the United States. The crackdown was ordered by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Dorian Jones reports.
Hundreds of people chanted the media will not be silenced as police raided Zaman newspaper in Istanbul. Staff clapped in support of the paper's chief executive, Ekrem Dumanlu, as he was taken away by police.
Zalim zulmüyle yad edilir.
He said that those who oppress the media and prevent freedom of expression will be remembered as tyrants. Similar raids were carried out against TV channel Samanyolu, and its senior officials and staff were detained. Those detained are accused of having close ties with the Turkish Islamic cleric Fethullah Gülen, who lives in self-imposed exile in the United States. Dorian Jones of VOA News, Istanbul.
The European Union condemned the raids, saying they're incompatible with the freedom of media. The U.S. State Department also voiced concern, urging Turkey to make sure the operation does not violate its core values of media freedom and judicial independence. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's ruling coalition won a landslide victory in lower house snap elections, despite a low voter turnout. Exit polls show the conservative Liberal Democratic Party and its junior partner winning more than 310 seats in the 475-member lower house. The mandate grants Mr. Abe 4 more years to implement difficult reforms. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.